there is truth to these religious beliefs. The way
they're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Right.
So he's saying the reality is that women are less than men. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like a victim mentality, I guess. Like, I don't think I'm less than men. We live our life. There is truth to it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Y'all, I'm on a roll this week. I don't know what it is. And I just posted a video, like the losing friends video, and now I want to post another one. And the only reason I got this idea, and the reason why I just all of a sudden got this like urge to film, is because I saw Jubilee, and I watch Jubilee sometimes, posted a video of like this anti-pro-feminist conversation. I want to do this one because I like the middle ground format they do. Now this is kind of stemming away a little bit from the shorter format, but I really wanted to film this because I think it's going to be interesting. This will have several parts to it because the video is literally an hour long, and I'm not going to post the whole thing or react to the whole thing, but it's definitely not going to be like a one-part video, you know? This will be part one of the video. I never ever have my hair in a bun in videos because sometimes I think it looks weird and messy, but we're going to leave it like this because like who cares? Okay.
The only thing that I could think that justifies being a feminist today is you must just want to get laid. There's no reason to believe in all of these crazy things that seek to strip you of your masculinity, perpetuate these terrible ideas that men are evil and all of these things. That has to be the reason.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Women have it easier than they think they do.
Okay, so if I was there, oh no, I can't do this because I don't, women have it easier than they think they do. To be honest, after doing a lot of like looking around, and y'all, I swear, if you guys say that I got influenced by this specific person, I'm not gonna say who it is, but they're popular, I'm gonna be upset. When it comes to the social and emotional aspect of it, I feel like we kind of do, but when it comes to the physical, I feel like we don't. I don't know, does that make sense? We'll see. Maybe in like part 2 and part 3, like I'll tell you what side I feel like I maybe feel more strongly about. However, I'm not here to really take sides. I just want to see each person's individual points. Okay, let's get on with this. Okay, so the two anti-feminist guys stepped forward. Let's see what they say.
With feminism, it's kind of brainwashed women to think that they are victims in 99% of cases, and all the disenfranchisement that they would claim in like colleges and careers. A lot of these careers are way easier to get into for women than they are for men.
I would also say that they are actually easier also for like non-white people now, because you know, like they want to hire diversity and things like that. So I guess the same or the similar can be applied to like non-white people. I don't like these labels, to be honest. I prefer using country. Like I will never ask like someone's race. I'll just be like, what's your ethnicity? Like where are you from? I don't know. These labels just divide people, and like I don't know. Let's continue.
They're looking to hire women because of feminism.
Yeah, like in divorce and stuff, they get more property with kids' rights.
Yeah, that's
all
true.
that.
That's true. That's true.
But more so, I think that from the jump, actually have it easier. Like men need to be a provider. You're taught to be tough.
Yeah,
why are you crying?
that's
Don't
true.
be a girl.
That's true.
But when a girl is crying or a girl is upset or anything that happens, usually they're a princess and they're given the world.
That's true.
Well, yeah, because with women, they're born with their value. They innately have value. They can create life, and they're extremely valuable.
That actually, someone was like, oh, these are people who are loved unconditionally. I think a comedian said this. He's like, women, children, and animals. I'll put it up if I remember. I feel like men have to prove themselves, and women are just naturally, even if like you're not considered like attractive or that nice according to society, women are naturally just taken care of and sometimes given more attention. And like, these are kind of general statements, but there's facts to back this up. Okay, this is why I don't like buns, because there's like stray hairs everywhere. But like, these are not just like random things I'm saying out in the air. Like it's kind of backed up, you know? Just keep that in mind. Which is sad. Like I feel bad, you know? I feel like there's more pressure on men in the societal aspect. Let's continue.
Birth. For men, it's not really the same way. You have to make something of yourself to be respected.
Exactly. Like a pretty woman can go far just using her face. A man can't do that. A man can't go to a rich businessman or like a businesswoman and be like, I'm good looking, let me come to your yacht. Right. A woman
When he said come to your yacht, you already know who I thought of. Women can use their looks as like an advantage. I'm fine. I appreciate all comments, but when people really value my words, that means a lot. It's easy to like dress up and everything, but it's not so easy to like really think. You guys get what I mean. Let's just continue.
Let's bring the disagreeers forward.
Just a second ago, you were saying that a pretty woman could go onto a rich man's yacht, and that would be kind of her ticket on, right? Okay, so did that help women vote at all, being pretty?
But what does that have to do with it?
I'm just asking, because, I mean, when we're talking about women's lives being better than they think they are,
Would you rather be pretty and be able to get on a yacht or have your liberties?
But like women have their liberties. Like that's the thing. I'm not even trying to be rude, but how are women in America and Canada? Because there's a difference in parts of the world. Okay, there's a huge difference. I don't see women as oppressed. The only way I'd have to see women as oppressed if you make me feel like, if you're like, Alessia, name one reason they're oppressed, I would just say sexual crimes and sexual, just everything having to do with that. Like how women are preyed on more, they're seen more, they're sexualized more. That's the only way where I would say that they're being oppressed, essentially. But when it comes to like freedoms, I don't see it. I don't see it. I genuinely don't.
I think in like 1950s or 2022,
Women
they already
had
have
the
the
right to vote
vote.
for a long time.
I think something you specifically said shows to me why women don't have it easier. I think it was you who said, women already have their value. Their value is already obvious because they can have children. I don't want to put you into a box, but there are large amounts of men. Women are people that have children and then they raise the child and they be quiet.
And I think
that is a
not at
problem.
all. I think what was really evident to me when both of y'all came up and talked was how indoctrinated into the patriarchy you
Maybe you're indoctrinated into this society. Oh, burn.
right? You both come up and
Look at this guy's face. He's just like, let's go back to that.
talked was how indoctrinated into the patriarchy you are, right? You both come up and say,
His
as men,
face.
we have to prove something. And those expectations that you put on yourself is a direct result of patriarchy and the systems that feminism is trying to dismantle.
As are the values that women had that when they were born that you're talking about. Women did not create those.
Right.
Men did.
Those are God
Hold
ordained.
on.
Men and women are both
Okay.
equal under God.
I already know what's gonna happen. They're gonna be like, why are you bringing up religion into all this? Why are you bringing up God? People think like the argument of using God and religion is not good. And yeah, maybe people have different religions, so they're not gonna agree. But I don't think it's inherently wrong. Like I think there is truth. There is truth to these religious beliefs, the way we live our life. There is truth to it. All these things that religion tells us not to do, there's a good reason for it. You know, most things that they tell us not to do, there's a good reason for it. So I don't think bringing up God and religion is necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you just use that to argue with someone who's not religious, I understand. But saying, like, then where are we supposed to get our morality from? Because wasn't the U.S. founded on Judeo-Christian values? This is what I remember. Like, people say that you don't need to be, like, religious or believe in God to have, like, morality. And I understand. But using it as, like, an argument isn't always bad. Like, people make it seem like religion just oppresses people and the rules are stupid and crazy, but I don't see it like that. I want to do this with people who see things the opposite of me because I genuinely want to see where they're coming from because I don't get how it is. I think that people just don't like to hear that what they're doing is wrong because it's like they want to keep doing it or something. I don't know. I don't know. We'll keep going.
You as human beings. In Genesis, you have creation of both men and women that are made in God's
We're
image.
not
So
about
we
to
are
quote the
both-
Bible and like some feminist.
Hold on, but so,
I mean, we
We're
can.
operating in a country where there's a separation of church and state. You cannot use religion.
But wasn't it founded on those
values?
Legislation. If I hear one more person use religion as a reason to not give rights to people, I'm probably gonna fucking exclude them. People using their own personal ideologies as an excuse to implement legislation over other people's lives are simply just not okay with the fact that they can't control everything around them.
Back to the prompt, I mean, I don't think that women have it easier than they think they do. And I think to just make blanket statements like women in society think they have it easy or men in society have
It's
it harder,
based on the
whatever you want to
person.
say, I just think it's kind of naive. Sure, maybe some women think they have it easier, but that might not be because they're a woman. It might just be because of their own set of life challenges and vice versa.
Yeah, and I agree. And one of the reasons that I am so passionately anti-feminist is because I believe that feminism pits men against women. Men and women may be equal today, but they are not the same. But also, too, women are under a pressing assault today in this country. They're losing their ability to compete in sports, beauty pageants, also just basic things like that to people that identify as women.
That's what he's
No one
talking
is talking
about.
Feminists aren't talking about it. So now you have conservatives having to fight for women's equality. In
You're making some pretty blanket statements saying feminists don't care about it. And you say, you think that all women just are against men.
To answer your question, yeah, you're talking about women. Women are not all feminists. There are plenty of feminists who are very anti-woman.
Have it harder too because they are also being impacted by how aggressive men feel like they need to be able to secure the role that they have to play in society.
I don't think masculinity is inherently aggressive and negative. I think that's what society makes it, or I think that's just what happens when we live in a crazy world that people become more aggressive and negative, but men and women. So people who think masculinity is inherently like, ugh, like fighting and hurting people I think it's completely wrong. And I think that's toxic masculinity, okay? Being abusive or toxic femininity, whatever. But anyone being abusive or aggressive is not good in general. Like, yeah. Okay, we're gonna go to another prompt before I end this video, because we're gonna do a little bit. Like, this is only part 1. I don't want to make this a 30-minute video. But there's a lot here. Like, there's no reason to get abortion, mansplaining it, women should make their own money, innocent men suffer because of feminism, men this, da, da, da. So we're gonna do one more, a shorter one. Mansplaining is overly criticized. So mansplaining is basically when men explain things to women in kind of like a condescending way. I've never had anybody mansplain anything to me, but if a man tried to explain something to me, I wouldn't think he's being condescending or that he thinks I won't know it. I'll just be like, okay, a woman can womansplain to me too. Like, our parents can be like, you know,
Mansplaining.
I don't get it. I
is
don't.
overly
You know, guys,
criticized.
maybe my priorities are somewhere else, but I just don't get all this stuff happening, honestly.
I frequently come across videos online where like a man will respond back to a broad generalization about women, and they'll be like, oh, you're just mansplaining it, as if men aren't allowed to have a voice in the conversation. And I think that the term itself, it's just not really defined.
And mansplaining is just not real.
Yeah.
Like, it literally is a man explaining something, and these people get angry about it. Like, that's the reality of the times in which we live. And it hurts the ability of men to have conversations with women, because you think, oh wow, if I explain this issue to her, then I'm going to be accused of mansplaining, or I'm going to be accused of being sexist because I don't think she understands it. It's toxic.
But
it hurts women.
But can't you say the same thing? Like, I'm not trying to even bring up, like, you know, the race thing into this or the LGBTQ, but like, that's another thing too in this world. That's another thing we're dealing with. So can you say the same thing about, like, if a white person explained it to a non-white person, or a straight person explained it to a gay person? Like, can you use the same logic? Because it seems like these issues kind of go hand in hand, like they're all intertwined or something. Like,
and it's just not a way for us to have a functional society.
And at its core, it's completely hypocritical, because the feminist plight is that women need to have a voice and they're being told they can't have a voice. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing and say, you're mansplaining me. You shouldn't have a voice about this topic because you're a man.
And we're targeted because of our identity, and no one cares about it because we're supposedly in positions of power. So we don't get to be victims. We don't get to say, oh, you should feel bad for us, because we're men. So we don't get to have the luxury of having the benefit of the doubt of society or the media or any of those things. And it's a shame. It's a shame.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to speak about mansplaining from a different perspective, because you guys are talking about controversial topics. I'm going to talk about it from just like a day-to-day perspective. In my relationship with my partner, how I try to be really mindful of mansplaining is when she is sharing her struggle. I think a tendency that can be conditioned in me through just how men dominate and want to have to solve problems and all that is I want to jump in and just solve it and try to explain what's happening here and try to question her experience and be like, hey, like, well, what did you think about this? Did you think about that? Well, I see this. That inherently in itself comes off as mansplaining, because what is the counter to mansplaining is actually getting consent from the other person. How do you want to be supported? Do you want me to support you?
Okay, I guess he's saying it like, instead of men seeing it, or this guy seeing it from like an emotional perspective, like, I'm here for you, it's okay. He kind of says, how should we solve this? I don't mind that too. Like, both are fine to me. Like, I mean, I wouldn't see it as see, y'all, I guess my priorities are just like not like these. That's why I just don't see an issue with all this stuff. Like, I don't see it. I think a lot of women don't have issues with this. It's just a loud minority that make people or men feel like, oh, women feel this and that, but it's just like a small, loud minority, right? I don't think most people care.
To you, or do you want me to help solve problems?
It's also, mansplaining is also not just a man having an opinion. Right. That's not the situation. The idea is when a man interjects an opinion that he either is not fully educated on or does not have the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about.
How is that different than a woman doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my issue.
Well, if he's saying it like that, I wouldn't say it's mansplaining. I would say maybe he's not being considerate. Like, I
feel free when a woman does that to say you're womansplaining. I don't think
there's a reason that term doesn't exist, and that's because you're not allowed to do that towards women in society.
If you did that, it would be just fine.
You just invented it.
It would be just fine.
Well, I think the difference is, though, when if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's going to have to be louder than the men in the room because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about the word?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Is it
like we
about
keep
the
on getting
words?
hung up
Yes.
on like words
No,
like
it
Y'all
is.
really
mansplaining
don't. Y'all have a lot
and
of problems with a lot of
patriarchy,
these
like-
languages.
When you say mansplaining,
Yeah.
you have to understand that subconsciously we're
Yeah.
already creating a divide when really
Yeah.
a woman can mansplain by definition the way you guys are explaining it,
Yeah.
and that's just as wrong as if a man does
Yeah.
it. So why is it called mansplaining? Why isn't it just disrespectful?
So
Yeah,
when your life is
exactly.
not at stake, when you're not being attacked, I think you can focus on language. When you're not at risk of being...
You live in U.S., dude. That doesn't
Men are attacked every single day.
Women are attacked more.
But I think
Oh my gosh, when he's like, you're in the US. Literally, this is how the rest of the world feels about our problems. I swear, they're like, why are these Americans focusing on these things? Because they have nothing better to do? Because maybe it's planned like this?
point, you guys talk a lot about social conditioning and how women feel uncomfortable.
This video's 20
But
minutes.
don't you
Oh
think
my
this
gosh.
narrative that you're saying right now is contributing to that? Telling women that they should be scared when they're in an environment full of men. Telling women that, you know, they are oppressed. They are this or that.
Clarkson,
By telling
yes,
women
exactly.
they're less than
Let me
men.
respond to that. They're not telling them that. They're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Right.
So he's saying the reality is that women are less than men. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like a victim mentality, I guess. Like, I don't think I'm less than men. Sometimes I feel like I would be treated differently. People create problems out of nothing. I'm not even getting mad here. I'm just... Let me know down below what you guys thought. If I should make a part 2, there's so much more to this. Was this an interesting video? Let me know down below. And I will see you guys next time.